What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tuxie Boyo, and a long time ago, close to a year ago, I think, God knows if I have any semblance of how much time has passed, I did a video about kind of what I perceive personally to be the downfall of Assassin's Creed as a franchise, where it went wrong, where the fall-off began, how we could possibly try to get back, things like that. I didn't say anything, though, about something that's pretty big related to the franchise that is technically still unconfirmed, but everybody in the world already knows about it, and you saw from the title and from the thumbnail what we're talking about. That's the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake that is supposed to be officially confirmed sometime soon. Now, we've known a lot about this potential game for a long time now. I've had personal thoughts about it. I haven't done a video, mostly because I'm not the biggest Black Flag fan in the world. I'm not going to pretend to be excited about it, and I'm also not going to get on here and be needlessly, negative about something that's going to make a lot of people very happy. Or at least in theory, would make a lot of people very happy. There's a few things that obviously none of this has been confirmed, but there's a few rumors and leaks that we've seen that, if true, put this game in a strange in-between sort of balancing act that make me a little nervous. So I guess I want to talk about it. But before I get into any of that specifically, I do want to ask you guys a question. You can answer one of two or two questions for me. First, which Assassin's Creed game is your favorite? For me, it's Brotherhood. I know, very basic answer. A lot of people are going to say that. Two, who's your favorite assassin? Mine has changed a little bit over the years. You would think it's Ezio because I say that Black Flag is my favorite, but it's actually Connor Kenway. I've come back around on Connor recently. I was playing Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, and I did all the homestead missions before I finished the game because somebody told me that, like, Achilles' death hits way harder if you do it that way. And so I took their advice. I was like, fine, I'll interact with the homestead missions. And it kind of paints Connor in a whole new light for me. I actually have a lot of appreciation for him. And to this day, I think it's abysmal that we have not revisited him or Arno. I really think that a game about the two of them could be the bee's knees. Yep, the bee's knees. Anyway, I want to talk about something that I think is interesting in regards to this game's very existence, speaking hypothetically as though it does exist, that it is real, and that it will be confirmed soon, and that it will be playable at some time this year. I can understand the politics behind doing Black Flag first, behind remaking Assassin's Creed 4 as the first Assassin's Creed remake that you do. However, I don't think that it's a great idea for two reasons. One, you're going to get a lot of people's hopes up for something that might fall through, because a remake that Ubisoft has officially confirmed and has announced, and it has a trailer and everything, is Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, the PS2 game. Yeah, it got a remake announced in, what, actually, let me see how long ago it was. Yeah, this trailer came out September 10th, 2020. Goodness gracious. So this game was announced 5 years ago, and there's basically been nothing said or done about it since then. And there's been two other completely unrelated Prince of Persia games since then, the Rogue Prince of Persia and POP: The Lost Crown. I played a little bit of Lost Crown. It didn't really gel with me very much. I'm not really into the side-scrolling Prince of Persia. That's just not what I grew up with. I prefer the Sands of Time, Warrior Within, Two Thrones, even the 2008 reboot with Nolan North. Like, that kind of Prince of Persia is more what I resonate with, so I didn't really love Lost Crown. Could be a great game. I've heard good things about it. But I say all of that to say, even if they do give us an official trailer announcing Black Flag Remake, what happens if 5 years go by and there's nothing to show for it? You're going to leave a lot of people very disappointed. Alright? I get it. Black Flag sold 15 million copies. It's still heralded by millions of people to this day as the best game in the franchise. If you want to return to some sort of normalcy, if you want to do something safe because you're hemorrhaging money left and right by making all these terrible decisions, remaking Black Flag is a safe bet. Though, I think that there is a better game to remake than Black Flag. The first one. Yeah, Assassin's Creed 1 is the only I want to say only mainline, but it really is among the only games that are not available on modern hardware. Sure, Bloodlines for the PSP and like Discovery for the DS aren't available on modern hardware, but 2 through Revelations are, 3, 4, Unity, Rogue, Syndicate, obviously Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, Shadows. You can play all of those games on a PS5 right now. I think that maybe we should focus on the fact that the progenitor of the franchise is not available on PS5 or Xbox or Switch, and is a pain in the ass to try to play on PC these days. Pardon the interruption, it's your boy Toxic Boyo, and I wanted to take a brief moment to let you know about the Toxic Touch Productions Patreon. I'm not currently monetized on YouTube, but I still want to bring you the best content that I possibly can. I want to make those videos that you love, and I want them to be the best that they can be. But I need a little help. That's where you guys come in. If you want to support me directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/ToxicTouchProductions or click the link in the description or the pinned comment. For even just $5 a month, you can get your name included in the credits at the end of the video, gain access to exclusive channels on the Discord, and you get specialized merch at no extra cost. It only gets better as the tiers go higher. Go check it out. Thanks for listening and thanks for supporting my dreams. Now let's get back to the video. And I know that there is a lot of discussion that's happened online about like, well, how would you even approach making an Assassin's Creed 1 remake? The game is so different from every other game in the franchise in so many different fundamental ways. I don't care. That's what a remake is. And I get what you mean. What do you do with the combat system? Do you make it like the new RPG games? Do you give it like the Anvil type of physics that it had in 3 and 4 and Rogue? I understand. But I still think that it's worth taking on that challenge before you do Black Flag. Especially because, like, I don't know, Black Flag is from smack right in the middle of the franchise. Like, what if that's someone's first ever Assassin's Creed game? I mean, are you going to have, like, an animated recap thing that you can watch that catches people up on what happened in the previous 5 games? I feel like you kind of need that, especially because that's the first game that comes out after Desmond is dead. So that's the kind of stuff as far as those rumors that I wanted to talk about. There's a tweet that I saw here, I mean, what, 6 months ago? And I meant to do a video about it way back then, but I just, like I said, you know. So the first thing that we see here is that the remake will remove the modern day and replace it with more content in Edward's pirate era, as in a few extra hours compared to the original. I understand the motivation behind that type of decision, but I said previously in my Assassin's Creed What Went Wrong video that the modern day content and the modern day story is as important as what you're doing in the past, because without that, there's no context to what you're doing in the past, and you're just running around sailing the 7 seas. If you don't know why you're doing it, and this isn't going to apply to everybody, but people that care about story, you're going to want that motivation. And Black Flag already drops the ball pretty hard on that when it comes to the modern day, because like I said, Desmond's dead. You've been playing as Desmond in the modern day this whole time, so with him gone, it raises a lot of questions. What's happening in the present now? Did Abstergo win? What's going on? Well, you're just some guy that works at Abstergo. You don't have a face or a voice. You walk around with a tablet. You don't even have hands because you can't press the buttons on the elevator. You have to use your tablet to take the elevator. Sean and Rebecca are in the game, working at Abstergo as well, it seems like, but surely they're spying in some sort of way. That'll come up in Syndicate 2 years later. But as far as what's going on in that game, it's what, you're trying to like help them find the new sage, and the whole thing is a cover, or that they're covering the whole thing with like this pirate movie that they're wanting to make, and then like the CEO of Abstergo gets killed in Chicago by Aiden Pierce, and all of that stuff is cool, but like none of it has anything to do with you, really, because you're not a character. You're just a guy walking around. I don't know if you're the same guy in Rogue. You might be, but still, like, it's probably like the steepest and most drastic drop in quality when it comes to an aspect of the making of these games. That would be the modern day. Next up, The gameplay will shift closer to the RPG style of the newer games, with loot and gear stats, inventory systems, and the combat leaning towards the RPG style rather than the choreographed combat of the original. I get that too. I completely understand why they would do that, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold 20 million copies. That's a ridiculous amount. Origins sold, let's see, 10 million copies. Yep, I get it. Odyssey sold 10 million copies. I'm curious about Shadows. Let's see what Shadows did. Shadows has sold 4 million, so that not great compared to the previous titles, but I mean, with all of the nonsense that was going on, that's kind of to be expected. I mean, that's still nothing to scoff at. I think 4 million copies is good, but for Assassin's Creed, not great. So that's probably one of the reasons that they're leaning on this type of project right now. Point is, those RPG games are incredibly popular. And like I said in my Assassin's Creed What Went Wrong video, you're not wrong if you prefer the Witcher RPG style combat and exploration of these newer games compared to the more choreographed, you know, power fantasy stuff that we had in 3 and Black Flag and Rogue, or even the slower based, or the slower paced, almost kind of feels like you're taking your turn one after another of like Unity and Syndicate. There was that same type of gameplay in, you know, 2 and Brotherhood, stuff like that. If you prefer this new RPG type of combat system, you are absolutely not wrong, okay? You are entirely valid to feel that way. It's just not what I prefer. And like I said back then, I wonder how much overlap there really is between fans of the older games and fans of the newer ones. With sales figures being so similar, it could be, you know, an entirely new fan base of the same size, or maybe it's a 50-50 split, 70-30, who knows. But Black Flag is one of the more popular games in the franchise. 15 million copies is nothing at all to scoff at, right? And with Ubisoft Connect, that number has apparently gone up to over 30 million, you know, unique players. That's insane. Why shift, or why pivot so heavily away from the identity of Black Flag specifically? You know, I get giving the combat a little bit of a polish, a little bit of a facelift. I get that 100%. But it makes me a little nervous to be shifting so drastically, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm making a big deal over nothing. No loading screens when moving between ship and land. I mean, I would hope so with the SSDs that are running everybody's machines nowadays. Map is not bigger, but islands will be filled with more activities and side content. I'm interested in that, but I'm also a little wary because I think that Black Flag has pretty much just the right amount of side content with the legendary ships and the naval forts and the hunting and crafting and whaling and the treasure maps and the Mayan puzzles and the Templar hunts and all that stuff. I think it's just the right amount. And the bounty hunts, obviously. I think it's just the right amount of side content. I think any more, and you're starting to run the risk of having an entirely cluttered, visually disgusting map like Unity has. There is so much on the map in Unity that it, or at least in my experience, it discourages you from even engaging with the side content because there's stuff everywhere, and it's a little overwhelming. Like, Unity has the Cafe Theater missions and the Helix Rifts and the murder mysteries and the Nostradamus stuff and the Paris stories and the co-op and the heists, and there's even more content when you get to the Dead Kings DLC, and it's just, I don't know, it feels as though, and it might just be because it's just one big landmass compared to the several territories that you visit in Rogue and in Black Flag. All of it being condensed like that feels like it's just way too much content. So, like I said, with there being more islands, more land masses, all of the content being spread out across a much larger map in Black Flag, it might feel less daunting, and it might actually feel rewarding to take on. So we'll kind of just have to see how that goes. It's supposed to have content that was cut from the original, like more content regarding Mary Reed. I'm huge into that idea. I love Mary. I think she's the best supporting character from that entire game, behind maybe Adewale. Recipes to the homie Mary. I mean, obviously everybody in that game is dead by now. It takes place almost 300 years ago, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of that. Interestingly enough, it's not the same big budget remake level as Resident Evil 2 or Silent Hill 2, but more of a faithful reimagining with updates. I don't really know what that means, if it's going to have a whole new combat system, how it's not on the same level of remake as Resident Evil 2, but whatever. I mean, literally whatever that means. And they're going to be reusing some assets from Skull and Bones to cut costs, but it won't be obvious to players. I mean, honestly, you could probably take the entire map from Skull and Bones and put it in the Black Flag remake, and it wouldn't be obvious to players because Skull and Bones didn't have any players. But yeah, I think the things that really make me nervous here are, you know, removing the modern day content. Like I said, I feel like for some players, at least for me, it kind of gets rid of the intrinsic motivation to explore the past. Changing to the RPG mechanics and gameplay feel of the newer games, I think is counterintuitive to what Black Flag is. I think it's important for the different games to have different identities. It kind of makes it, I don't know, it makes it more uniquely rewarding to go back and replay those older games because they function differently. You know, you're playing Unity and you need to use medicine. You're playing 3 and you heal when you're no longer in combat. You know, I don't know. The human shields and the hidden gun and the poison blade, and like there's just so many different things from so many different games that give you a reason to want to go back and play that particular one because it's got things that the other ones don't have. But that's just me. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the Black Flag remake, not necessarily coming on here to say, oh man, this is going to be the greatest game to come out in 2026, because assuming GTA 6 comes out this year, it's probably going to be that. But I'm also not here to say, man, they shouldn't remake this game at all. They should blah, 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 blah. I'm interested. I'll probably check it out. If it's on Game Pass. I don't want to pay $70 for a remake these days. I'm just not ever in the mood for that. Really, like, I didn't even buy the Silent Hill 2 remake. I waited till it was free on PlayStation Plus. That's kind of like how I move with most games that come out these days. You know, I work a regular job. I got bills to pay. There's only so many games I can play. Anyway, like I said, what's your favorite Assassin's Creed game? Who's your favorite assassin? Subscribe if you're new, leave a like, whatever. And what game are you most excited for in 2026? Anyway, I gotta get out of here.